All right.
All right. All right, good. So I'll just go ahead and jump right on in here since we are recording this afternoon. Glad to be with you all. I am Yolanda Kelly from Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, just HMH, to reintroduce you to Journeys and definitely to take you online with Journeys this afternoon. So I would ask that you take a moment to get signed in. You can go ahead and grab a screenshot of this, as well as using your QR reader on your phone. So that way it'll pull up this this electronic sign-in sheet. Just go ahead and type in the code there, 306346, and then hit tab or enter, and then it'll start to populate for you. Should see your district name there, and then you can just start to complete it with the program of Journeys and the content area of English Language Arts. And I'd recommend for anyone watching this recording later to still do the same, because HMH will provide you with a certificate of attendance by signing in electronically. So at any time you can still use that code that you're seeing there on the screen to do the sign in. If you need to just type it in, just open up a tab on your browser and type right into the browser bar, learn.hmhco.com/sign-in, hit enter, and then it should pull up a screen with the form for you to fill in. And again, that will get you a PDF copy as a certificate of attendance for today's session. And so for those of you just signing in, just kind of let me know when you have completed it, and we'll keep it moving.
I just lost the screen.
Okay.
Just a minute. I may have to log out and log back in.
All right. That's always a good one.
Okay, I'm going to try it again.
All right.
I think I got it.
All right. Very good.
Thank you.
No problem. And so for today's session, we will focus on remote learning with Journeys. As I know that you've had Journeys in your district for several years now. So we just, like I said, want to reintroduce you to Journeys online and really get you going with the ThinkCentral platform for today. There are several resources, many of them that you probably have been seeing in your Teacher's Edition mentioned before. So if you want to grab screenshots or use your mobile device to take pictures, then do so. One thing that I like to introduce in the sessions these days is this is something that we utilize in trainings, but also as we think about that blended learning environment that we're in, whether we're live online together or whether we're face-to-face and I am teaching from the platform and my students are following along with me, or what the case may be. Just a simple protocol for when hands are on and hands are off, right? And basically red is when they're watching me, Yellow, we are together, and green, they're on their own. So I just challenge you guys to think of some protocols such as that while you are working with your students. But let's kind of take a moment to think about what resources have we been using in Journeys? What are our go-tos? What do we like? And tell me, is it something that as the teacher or from the student's perspective? Casey, are you actually there with us now? You can chat in or you can come off of mute since there's just a few of us here today. We'd love to hear from you.
Great. I'm sorry. This is Casey. Hi, I'm here.
Hi.
Yes.
All right. So if you and Diane can kind of tell me a little bit about what resources do you use in Journeys? What are your go-tos?
So I always typically use is it the grab and go that already has kind of the assessment in there? We use the book, the spelling words, the vocabulary words. Some of the writing activities are our go-tos. Those leveled readers we use quite a bit during like MTSS time and things. The ones that have like the triangle, the square, and the circle on the back.
Yep.
So yeah, we use those leveled readers quite a bit as well.
All right, very good.
We use the leveled readers, the grab and go, the consumable workbook, the reader's notebook.
Yep.
I sometimes use some of the recordings of the story that are on the website. The leveled readers. And I have used the website at home to make lesson plans, but I don't use their plan sheet. I just pull it up so I can see what is in the story and the skills.
All right. All right, very good. So with the My Smart Planner. All right, very good. All right. So that gives me an idea of what kind of resources you've been using. So my goal will be to make sure that you understand where you can find all of these online, and then what things that we can do for students during the phases of instruction. All right. So with that, what will be some takeaways? All right. What do we want to leave here with? What's your main thing as you think about how I might teach it in person, and what that might look like if I am in a Zoom meeting with my class?
Well, at least for me, with in terms of the leveled readers, how do I get those in the hands of my students if we do have to go distance? And I do have 3 distance learners who your website, I'm not very good at navigating it, knowing where everything is kind of at. So maybe learning how to navigate the website a little bit better. Yeah, I figured out how to get the student text, and I shared it in my Google Classroom. But just, kind of how do I share the leveled readers with my kids and teaching them what the website might look like for them. Does it look different than what the website looks like for me, and how to navigate through all of that.
And I'm not sure what is available to them through the website. What things can they actually access and use?
Got you. All right.
I'm with you on that, Diane. By the way, sorry, I have to go to a benefit sign up at 3:50, so I will pop out for just a minute to go sign up for my benefits, and then I'll be right back for this.
No
But I won't
problem.
leave until 3:50.
No problem. All
It
right,
looks
so
like
those
we
are-
have a few more people that have jumped on, so welcome
good.
everybody.
Very good. All right, so those are some good things to know. So is there anyone else wants to chime in and let us know what it is that you would like to get out of today's session?
I have never logged on to Journeys at all online, so I'm really just interested on what I can use in the classroom and how to do that virtually, and assigning like the books, or do you guys offer the RN pages too, and how that works.
All right. Yep.
And definitely the little readers, like what somebody else mentioned, I use those too. So.
All right, very good. So then, so our platform that we're going to mainly center around is that we will be logging in directly to ThinkCentral, and we will log in directly to ThinkCentral, and then we will either go into a Zoom classroom setting or either into also Google Classroom. So those will be our two launching pads from there
Yolanda,
for both teachers and students. Go ahead.
we also have subscription to Nearpod. I'm just seeing that on there, so.
Okay.
might
All
be
right.
aware.
All right. Very good. All right. So one thing that you'll want to do then, Holly, and I'll put this in the notes as well, I'll send you a summary, is that's going to be to make sure that you guys have the integration for Google, that you'll want to talk to your account executive. I can't remember who your account executive is, but you can also ask Doug about that as well. So as we think about how to be so flexible these days across the country, right, with everything that we've gone through, that we saw ourselves one day face to face and then the next day at home, and everything in between has happened, and now we find ourselves, it's the 1st of September and a new school year has arrived, right? So with that, we have to be very nimble in everything that we do. And with that, as we prepare to just turn on a dime, we want to make sure that we can address every instructional format that we might encounter. So our goal today will be to think of activities within Journeys that we can do with our students when we're in a synchronous setting, where we're live together, right? And that could also be in the classroom as well, guys. All right. So we're together online, and then asynchronous, where I might break out and put a small group with me. The other half of the class may be doing something independently, even if that is online. Asynchronous, come back together after 15 minutes. Everybody, I put my eyes on the whole class and I see my gallery view. We talk through that for about 5 minutes, and then we break out into another group. Group 2 is now with me online, and group 1 is working independently online off screen, right? And then thirdly, those things that are unplugged. Some of that may not be totally unplugged. And as we think about when students are home, do they have their hard copy materials with them, versus then also just relying on the dashboard for things like that, and what types of assignments we would be providing for our students. So those are your 3 big buckets: synchronous together, asynchronous where it's partly online, all right, and then unplugged and totally independent, or what a lot of teachers are doing these days are just like, because what we know is our day in person, whereas we can get through, 45 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes, and so on, that gets stretched out when we're talking online. When we are all online together. So when you think about those things, so you may think of some things like a project, all right, or what they can work on for the week, and they come back together on the following Monday, and what would be due by the end of the week, that type of thing. All right. So that would be that unplugged type of setting that we would want to look at. All right. So just kind of keep that list in your heads as we go through everything. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and just jump online with you. So hopefully you will have a chance to log right into ThinkCentral and can get an idea of what this big dashboard looks like. And I'll talk you through it first. I like to share this picture because the idea of today's session is mainly that, yes, ThinkCentral is your friend, because over time we can have it look just like this picture here, which means that there are assignments that can be assigned to students where the dashboard will score and grade them for your students. And all that means is I push that out with a due date. Now, by just today, with our students getting their usernames and passwords, yes, Yolanda can go home and she can reread she can reread Winn-Dixie tonight on her own, because it's just free play. All I need is my password. But if you wanted me to complete the your turn questions at the end, then you put a due date on that, so she'd see that on her dashboard. This is a sample of the teacher dashboard that has basically 4 big buckets, right? That My Smart Planner off to the left, but we mainly are here on the right-hand side with our resources carousel across the top, where we have these arrows to the left and the right and all these color-coded icons. Those red icons are teacher icons, yellow for student, and green for assessment, right? And then 2 big boxes on the bottom are going to be your assignments and your reports widgets, right? In your assignments, once you start creating an assignment and assigning it to your students, then they will change color over time. When it's grayed out, that means it has not been started. When it is blue, it's in progress. And when it's green, then it's being completed. And since you put that due date on it and students are working on their dashboard to complete it, it'll count down because you've given it to the whole class, or maybe you've given it to a select group, and it's counting down as students complete it. When it's counting it down, then it gets pushed over here next to it in this box for the reports, and you can then see a report on how your students are doing, and you'll be seeing it with those red, yellow, green. And as the teacher, your eyes are looking for that red so that I can click right into one of those reports and see what it is that I might need to work on for my students, right? So that is kind of a general idea on where we want to end up, right, with this type of view. So I'm going to stop sharing and switch and jump online with you guys. And I'll just log right into ThinkCentral from the dashboard. One thing about it is we want to make sure that when we first have our students log in, that they complete all these drop downs. This may be something you want to do in a whole group setting, and that they check on here, remember my school, all right? So make sure we go through all of that, the country, state, district, and school name, and then click on remember my school. Also, I would imagine you guys are using some uniform usernames and passwords, maybe the same thing, because you do have the Chromebooks, probably the same thing that they use to sign into their Chromebook, just something that's going to be uniform. Have we rostered all the students? I should have asked you that early. So those students are there with their logins, and everybody has that. So that's good. All right, so I'm just going to log right on in. And from there, what I would recommend is then pinning it to the start. All right, just going at the top of the tab and right clicking and pinning it to the start. That way, then this tab and this dashboard stays open always for me. All right. So because when I'm in ThinkCentral, I have to have it open so I can continuously be logged in to the actual platform. All right. That way I won't ever lose it, because things will start to open in a new tab or a new window, and I don't want to lose my place. All right. So from here, I'm going to use my drop down right underneath the word browse, and I want to find Journeys. I don't know if you have other programs like perhaps Go Math or Science Fusion, but we would drop down to look for Journeys, and then we can select our grade level. I'm going to demonstrate out of 3rd grade. So right off of the bat, I want to share with you the view of the dashboard. Let me decrease the size so we can get it all in here. And same thing, just like we saw on the screen. Here are my arrows to the right and the left that show all of my resources here in the carousel. One big thing that I'll share with you right off the bat is that what we've done in this pandemic living that we're living in is we've provided you with quick access to PDFs of everything. So you're going to get that student edition. All right. You're going to get the reader's notebook, the write-in reader, and the Adventures magazine that we have starting at grade 3. All right, just PDF copies of that. And I'll talk about those more in a moment. All right. I'm going to close that tab, and I'm back on my dashboard, and I want to just take you right into the student book, which is going to be yellow. And this is where we would start. You guys are my class right now. We're in a Zoom session. We're in a Google Classroom session. And this is what you would share, the student book, right? Because we don't hold up our teacher's guide to the class. So we go right into the student book. The student book opens in an e-reader format, right? And it always opens to wherever I was last. So for me, because I'm in and out of this. I do this all day long. I'm going to use the table of contents with my markup tools that are off to the left. So I want you to get used to using those. So I'm going to just open it, and I want to use this back button so I can go all the way to the beginning. And with contents, okay, I want it to take me to, let me get to the back so I can get to the beginning. There it is. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the student book. I'm sorry. All right. So now we're going to just go right into lesson 1, and we're going to start there with the vocabulary and context. I'm going to go ahead and share with you that when I'm in a one-page view like I am now, I have a page view button that's down here, the third from the bottom. And this page view button allows me to zoom. So if you were my class and we wanted to just introduce and set this up, and I wanted to talk about the fact that we're going to start reading these 2 selections for lesson 1, because in Journeys, a lesson is a week, right? And this would be the vocabulary that I want to introduce my class to. So that's what I can do in that one-page view, is zoom. All right, let me go ahead and make it into a 2-page view. And now we can just start the instruction there. So I am again in a student book. You see right here that I'm getting the great audio and everything from the student book. I also would challenge you guys to use the arrows to turn the pages, all right? Or to also go into the page and jump to the page number like that.
Yolanda,
Go ahead.
we aren't seeing what you're showing us. I'm stuck on Journey Student eBook, book 1, book 2. I'm not seeing any of the pages that you're talking about.
I got you. Okay, it's because it's changed. All right, let me just practice my navigation here. I'm used to being in a different one, but that's okay. New share. All right, here we go. And I want you here with me. All right. All right. All right. So are you seeing the student ebook now?
Yes, thank you.
All right. You're welcome. No problem. So please, if you're not seeing me, just go ahead and just jump off mute and let me know. So good. So again, we're going to use the arrows, or we're not going to use the table of contents, or jumping in with the page number right there, right? So I'm going to just keep turning, and we know from there, after we've set up and introduced the vocabulary with the cards and things that are there, we can go right into then my target skill and my target strategy, because we know that that's how Journeys is set up, right? I have 6 units. Inside of every unit, there are 5 lessons, which represents the 5 weeks, right? So a lesson is a week, and then my week is day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for that week, I'm going to have, well, for that unit, I have a theme that I'm working out of. And all of those lessons, those 5 weeks, are centered around that theme. And then I am going to work on that same vocabulary, that same skill, that same strategy throughout the week, right? But I have 4 layers of text. I have that anchor text, my paired selection, and then I have my vocabulary reader, and then I have my leveled reader, right, for my students, my 4 layers of text for the week. So we've set the stage with our target skill and our target vocabulary, and let's look at this target skill and the target strategy that we'll be working on, and then we can go in previewing the topic. I'm trying to set the tone for my students on what we will be working on here. And so Journeys provides us with the audio. Wow, that kind of takes us back, right? With with that statement alone. We did. We used to go to school 5 days a week. Sometimes it might be at home, right? But anyway, you saw the highlighted text that we have there with the audio support. So that is a great feature. Again, all the student has to do is to have their login. That's not necessarily something I need to assign to them right there, right? So if I continue to use my table of contents, then I can just jump right into it, and I can start with my first anchor text and begin to introduce the author and the illustrator, the genre, and so on, and have all of that discussion there. So again, you're my class. So in order to do that here, I'm going to go down to a one-page view. So that way I can zoom in and have a discussion about this author, right? This may be an author that we've just recently read about, and now we're reading another book by Sharon Creech, all right? So that is just a feature that you'll want to get used to using, all right? When I'm in that one-page view where I can zoom. From here, then, we're going to, of course, go into our Dig Deeper section, where now we are able to begin to review the target skill and the target strategy. And then we move into the Your Turn portion, where now students are able to start to respond. All right. Throughout my ebook, let me just go back here and go back into the story. Throughout my ebook, I do have some great features. I can make notes by simply grabbing some text with my mouse, clicking and grabbing it, and when I let it go, the blue box pops up that says add a note. So from here, I can type in anything. If I'm gonna ask the, my 5W questions, my students can complete those, all right? My students could also highlight in different colors to represent different things, for different literary elements, for different parts of speech, for ending marks, capital letters, all sorts of things, right? And then we can even underline as well. So highlighting or underlining, and then simply typing in. So you might have questions posted in on your screen, and your students may answer them here, or you may have them go back and find the answer to certain questions, and then they would find the answer to it. All right. Another way to use this is we can have some two-way conversation. Yolanda goes home tonight. She's working with her mom, Miss Kelly. And yes, I've talked about, if nothing else, Miss Kelly, can you just ask her the who, what, when, where, why, how? Those 5W questions. We get here and we're reading, and she's having a hard time here with the vocabulary. Miss Kelly can simply type in a note and we can see it right there. That's another way for two-way conversation. But that really, that was always my example back in the day, last year, right? But I'm sure that we'll get a lot of moms just popping in on the screen. And like Diane was talking about earlier, the text message right away of when they might need some of that support. But nonetheless, this gets saved here inside of the student's book. And over time, they see a list of all the notes that they can create, as well as then the bookmarks, because if we just click the flags, they turn blue. And then I also have a list of these bookmarks. What's great about this for you as the teacher, guys, is so since you're my class and I'm demonstrating to teachers, I'm just sharing that any of you that do teach like a morning group of fifth graders and an afternoon group of fifth graders, then I do have these notes. So that way I'm ready to share that with my afternoon group after I've worked with those students in the morning, all right? And then if I continuously teach journeys at fifth grade, then I have these notes here, right, over time for me. For my students, these are being saved for them inside of their notebook as long as they're in that grade level, right? Question? So also right here, when students are creating these notes can go into their My Notebook, and I'll share you where that is, all right, for the My Notebook. So let's take a look at some other features that we see here, because I'm trying to give you the student view, but then kind of weave in for you also things that are great for the teacher. So what I also will see throughout each selection underneath table of contents will be my resources. So journeys, again, everything's linked together nicely, nicely put together, so you don't have to search. You're going to just use ThinkCentral. You're not going to do a Google search or anything. So pretend, like I heard it mentioned earlier about the grab and go green box. So just pretend that this is your grab and go green box and everything's linked. I don't have to sift through it to find it. They're right here at point of view. So while I'm on lesson 1, then these are all of the activities that are associated with level 1. Those are whole group. And then my language arts activities for lesson 1 that I can just jump to quickly right there. All right. If I close that, collapse it, and if I were in a different point, then it will pull up different resources for me to get to. All right. So I can just jump right into those very quickly there. All right, so we know we move from the your turn, and we begin to have those collaborative conversations, and we move into our mini writing task that we'll get here. All right, where they're going to do some response to reading, and then we're ready to move into our paired selection, and we have an opportunity then to compare the text right inside of the book, and then we can go into our grammar, all right? All connected to the theme, the topic, the skill, the strategy, and keeping up with that same vocabulary that we've been working on. And of course, we end with our writing project for the week, all right? Where we're gonna go through the writing process and we're gonna work on selected traits. All right, questions, comments, observations about the ebook?
I'm assuming we have to roster our kids before they can have access to this.
Yes. So ideally, I'll give you the top of the line, the midpoint, and the if you have to do it, you have to do it version. All right. So top of the line, yes, we would want them rostered. Like if you are using any other online platform, you can use that CSV file to upload, and I'll share with you those directions, and we would want that to be done at the district level, right? So that way everybody has full access, and that's done according to your master schedule. So that way when you log in and you're looking for your class, your 5th graders that you have this year, they're already there for you, right?
They've already been
Mid-level.
rostered.
All right, very good. And
They
so
have been rostered, Holly?
They should be in there. I'm not sure, depending on the platform, the kids are there. I can't remember if you have to create the class and pull them in, but they are rostered, as in all of the
Okay.
kids in your grade level are there, either in your class or you just have to pull them over. I can't remember how which platform.
Okay.
And you know what? I just realized this is so great to have you on, Holly. As somebody who is responsible for that, I think you're the first administrator that I've been in session with this summer. So thank you for joining us today. So guys, what we'll do is when we get to that point, we'll just look at it so that way you can see right where you are, and we know that we have that live data to work with, right? So one way or another, you have top of the line or mid-level, and you are good to go. Even if you don't have the top of the line, even at that mid-level, it's just really a snip, snap, and then you'll be off and running from that point on. All right. So while I am here, I'll share what else can we do, right? So you're seeing this button here, a couple of buttons, My Classes. First of all, with My Classes, so again, when your class, when you have your class set up and your students are using their book and they're creating these annotations, because just like I was showing you on how to create the note, so on and so forth, you can have your teacher created annotations that you would want them, you know, the purpose that you would set to have them create the note. But then in your teacher's edition, in that wrap, the margin of the page that you're very familiar with, you're going to see some references to opportunities to have students create these annotations, right? And then that's where they would keep them. Well, you know, Yolanda loves to come in, even online. She joins the session and she's always ready to tell you what she, you know, her insights, right? So if I wanted to share that, if you're in face-to-face instruction, we can just jump right in to my class and I can go right in and then I can find Yolanda's book and I can share that with you, right? And I can show it to you. If you're in a synchronous setting, then and the kids are there with you, you can just simply have them share the screen. But that's what this is for. Or if you're on your plan time, then if you want to go in and just pop in and read through their annotations, you can do it this way, all right? So this is just an easy access point so that you can look inside of your students' books. The second button that we see here is the share button, because if I wanted to make sure that my students completed this narrative writing assignment, I could simply share this with my class. Okay, so by going into the share, this is going to take me to my Google Classroom, and I'm going to just open the window. And then from here, I'm going to select my class, and I want to create the assignment, and I can take them to it. Now, what I feel like you guys may do a lot of is you may make an announcement. And from here, this is where you might tell them to actually complete the writing assignment here, right? So we might use this then for parents. Why? Because you're going to be creating those assignments inside of the ThinkCentral dashboard so that ThinkCentral can score and grade them for you, all right? So in other words, your students don't necessarily need to log in anywhere else. They can log in right there they can log in right there in ThinkCentral and jump into the Zoom setting or the Zoom meeting or into the Google Meets. I thought I had somebody who wanted a question. So then just posting in here, now mom can just see at a glance what things are being assigned by having an invite, because I've created a Google Classroom for, you know, for every class that I have for my morning and afternoon 5th grade journey students, for example.
Can we also post to Seesaw?
So the integration with that, I'll have to check on Seesaw. But one thing we want to make sure of is that we do request from our account executive to get the actual, to get this actual integration, so that way we're able to post into Google for sure. But I have a note for Seesaw, so I will ask. All right. So let's go back to our dashboard. So that's kind of just a little quick tour of the student edition, all right, that primary source. But where does, you know, where does everything kind of land from in Journeys? It's that focus wall, right? Do you guys have the posters up in your room for the focus wall?
Yeah.
So online, we're going to use what's called the gateway. So the teacher gateway is a red icon. It opens for me in a new tab. And this is just kind of everything at my fingertips, right? So I can quickly see, if I just went into resources, that's categorized for me, everything that's interactive, for intervention, the readers, and for EL learners, right? But let's just talk then, and let's just go back to the beginning. Let's go to lessons. And let's kind of just start the way most of us are thinking, right? Because as a teacher, I feel like even when you're online, like I would have my hard copy TE right here with me, right? And it's open. I know what page I'm on. I know what lesson I'm on, all of that. So we're right there at the beginning, Unit 1, Lesson 1, right? So I want to jump right into here. And because I'm here, now I can just start with the focus wall for Lesson 1. So that's going to open for me now in a new tab. And I have my focus wall. So now I can start to introduce the week for my students, right? Setting the stage. This opens for me in a web page So I want to use my browser tools to just accentuate so I can introduce my theme and my topic with my students here. And we can start to talk about it, you know, our domain. The topic's going to be about education. These are the stories we'll be reading this week. And, you know, this is going to be my essential question that we'll work through, right? Then I can go in and introduce that target vocabulary and get a discussion going right here about this vocabulary. So you see what I'm doing is I'm just using my browser zoom in and out because I'm not in the ebook anymore right here. But what's great, if you'll notice that I'm getting the hand because everything here is hot linked when I go to this focus wall. So I can jump right into my student ebook from here. And when you're in a session with your students, you're looking for the word student, right? That's how you're gonna just jump into it from anything that's student. So I can just start sharing from here. So like I could go ahead and pull up that target vocabulary, any of the phonics, the spelling, all of this right here from this focus wall, all right? So focus wall and journeys is one of my favorites because that's my agenda. I might keep this tab open so I can always go back to it so we can all kind of always pull those skills and strategies together because again, I have those 4 layers of text with my 2 from my anchor and my paired, and then of course from my vocabulary reader and then my leveled reader. So I could keep this open. Another way, because most of us love to teach with a PowerPoint or flip chart, I have the interactive whiteboard lessons, right? So then if I just download the software for either Prometheum or Smartboards, I don't know which ones you have, and it doesn't really even matter if you have the board or not because I don't, but I have the Active Inspire software on my computer so that way I can use the flip chart because for every lesson, I'm going to get a grammar and a vocabulary flip chart available for me to use for instruction, all right? Let me just find you one and open it up. I forgot to open it, so let me stop sharing and get to it. Sorry about that. And then we can take a look at one. Have any of you used the flip charts or the interactive whiteboard lessons?
Not recently.
All right. Well, that, you know, so they'll download just to just so that it's something that you guys can kind of get to very easily, and of course now that I'm gonna just open it here because now that I'm talking through it, I'm not finding it as fast as I want to.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let me share it with you. Right, one more time. All right, and so they are very nice and they come up in, like I said, one for vocabulary and one for grammar at every lesson. And so again, all you need is to have the software downloaded on your device so that you can use this. So the point being made is that basically with the way the way the technology works inside of the platform then, guys, is that I don't necessarily need to use the tools of my interactive whiteboard. I just need to project because I'm going to be able to control that all inside of from my laptop, right? So I don't really need the pen and that kind of thing unless I wanted this page and I am in front of my students and I wanted to write on it. But of course, I can do that then when I am in a session with my students online by just sharing it just like just like I am here. So I don't necessarily, I just need to project is all I really need. All right. So again, grammar and vocabulary for every lesson, but you'll want to download the software so you have it ready to go. All right. So let's go back to that focus wall. And I'm trying to get the controls out of the way here. All right, so from the focus wall, I can get to my student ebook and I can jump right into that. Once I set the tone, and I may need to come here, you know, every day to introduce. So I may keep this tab open. All right, I can teach from this flip chart. I can also teach then from a PowerPoint because I can download, I can also download and customize a focus wall and create my own PowerPoint. So let me share that with you. Since we're talking focus wall, I will bring that up for you. All right, so you would want to, again, be able to just download these and enable the editing. So that way it comes up and you see you have a template for every grade level there. And I can just go in to just create this. I may make one for my morning class, my afternoon class. I may make one for my intervention, and you just have the template that is available to you. You can then create this as a PowerPoint, and then you can import it into Google Slides and use it right there inside of Google. All right, am I getting you guys some pretty good resources here so far? All right, so that is the focus wall, and I'd say that that would be your launch pad. I can always go back home by just clicking the home button, and all of the lessons come up at a glance that I can just click right into. All right, and I want to go back now to my gateway and continue to explore in the gateway. So then this gateway allows me to see at a glance all of my resources within my unit, my lesson, and for every day. All right. What you're noticing here is you're getting the eye. It's going to give me a little bit of information about that resource. Like this is a good one because it takes me back to the skills and standards, the standards that are associated with the skills for this activity right there. But then I have the S and the A. The S is going to stand for schedule, and then the A will stand for, the A stands for assign. So I'm looking for things but for the A, because those are the things that I want to assign to my students, all right? And so by all means, I can assign my students the writing project that I want them to complete. So everything here is hot linked. So if I haven't taken a look at what that activity is, then I can just click on the title of it, and it will open for me in another tab, and I can see what this looks like. And so then this takes me into the My Write Smart, all right? So this My Write Smart is like your online writing coach for your students that's gonna allow them to draft out their writing project. And for this one, a narrative writing on a descriptive paragraph. So it takes them through the stages of the writing process. This is something that you can assign to your students. It provides them with the prompts. They can go back and get the resources from their ebook. They can go back and look at related resources to help them develop it even further. There's a rubric, all right, that helps them understand. They can also add any attachments and just several things that are available to your students. So this is something that students can do from grades 2 through 5, or grade 2 on up in the My Right Smart. And you can assign this electronically for your students. All right. So also, this is the platform for them to actually create the writing, right? So what can I use to help my students with writing instruction? So that's the My Right Smart, all right? The My Right Smart. If I go to resources, I want to take you into Write Smart, okay? Let's go to Write Smart so we can see the difference, all right? The Write Smart then is now going to be the actual support teacher side of things, all right? So this gives me as the teacher more ways to work with my students on developing their writing projects, all right? So as you can see here, I get lots of student models, graphic organizers, more rubrics, and I can even create rubrics. For example, one of my favorites is being able to go and show my students what good looks like. So we were working on a narrative then, right? So now I've selected narrative, and I can go in here and I can share with my students. Let me decrease this so we can get more on the screen. I can show them a strong example and a not so strong example, and then make the comparison by each of the different elements in fleshing out that particular composition. And I love the color coding. That kind of helps and draws the students' eyes to that. All right, so this is a guide for you as the teacher to help work with your students on developing those writing compositions. Let me pause there and let's hear some shout outs for any of the resources that I've shown you so far. We've looked at that student ebook, and we've taken a look into My Write Smart and then Write Smart.
Pretty quiet.
Just trying to process.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. So is this new? This is new for you? And you seeing both of these tools?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right.
Looks like great opportunities. Just got to get in and kind of play with it. It's hard to know until we're in there and we're actually playing with it.
Absolutely. So that's why I just kind of, if you're jotting anything down or thinking about anything, those 3 big buckets, right? Together, synchronous, asynchronous, where, you know, if I'm going to break out in groups and things that they can do independently and come back to, and then asynchronous also borderlines and butts up with that unplug, right? So these are things that you can think of on how you could assign this to your students that they come back to you with, right? That they can work on independently. All right.
The nice thing about having this recorded is they can go back, you know, and go back into this, and as they're trying to process it later and revisit the resources that you're sharing. So
absolutely.
Good point, Holly. That's great.
So while I am here, because again, I'm in the gateway. So this was a red widget from the dashboard that opened in a new tab, and all of these are tabs, right? That takes me, I jump right into it. So we're still in resources, so we can kind of see everything. And I went into interactive over here, right? So another thing that we were kind of looking at would be then, one thing that I wanted to share with you would, because we looked at the interactive whiteboard lessons, but then the HMH in the News website. So thinking about some asynchronous where I can work with the group and have students working on things independently. They can go into HMH News. They could do a little bit of, they can do a little bit of research here around the topic, the prompt that I've already given them, and they can start to explore all of these topics here, all right? And I have things that are good for every grade level, all right? And when I see the teddy bear, that's gonna be for my primary students. And so right away, I can get a list of things that are good to share with my younger kiddos, all right? So just another guide that gives you some support right there inside of your dashboard. You'll see this being made mention of because when we always start a new unit, we launch that unit inside of our journeys right around the theme, and we get the media project. It's going to reference some of this because remember we were talking about the community and our topic was education. So we can go in and let them do more research and more independent activities around developing those topics. All right, so that's gonna be the HMH in the News. And let's then take a look at a couple of other things here. We have some resources that are aimed at our second language learners, but are also good for students that need oral level development and just some good activities. So we do have this cross-curricular activity bank that we can go into. And then this is great, guys, just to share with families so that they know more things that in places where students can do some real focused work, right? So that way it's all inside of the dashboard. I'm not having to worry about the content that the students are working out of, but that these are places that they can go into, right? So this is one of those for that cross-curricular. And then I have the Wacky Tales. And so, just so many things here, all right, for students to do. And this kind of reminds me of the old school Mad Libs, right? So when I'm just thinking again of synchronous, asynchronous, and the unplugged, just the different levels of activity. So I'm in the resources tab under interactive. All right, let's keep digging through. And so when I think about those things for intervention, because you guys already told me you're familiar with your big green box for the grab and go, and then you know that you have two consumables, right? That reader's notebook is going to be your workbook that you use to where they do their work, right? And we can, and the pages and the things that students would complete online would be similar to those reader's notebook pages. And then I have that write-in reader that I provide for intervention because it was something that supposedly wasn't a resource that I might use with everybody all the time. But now my students would have access to this write-in reader online. So if this is a place where I need to start, because many of us are kind of dealing with that the COVID slide, right? And filling in some gaps of learnings. Our second graders aren't quite looking like the second graders that we're used to. So I may have to start here. And so I can now use this online because I can get a copy for everybody. And I'm saying it like that because typically this is purchased to where a lot of places get like a class set that is to be used for the life of the adoption. So ideally, old school, I would have been pulling out just the pages that were needed for the students when they needed those, that everybody didn't always need to use this all the time. But if I'm finding that this is a better way to scaffold the learning for my students and I want to start here, then I can utilize this with everybody online. And how can they answer in this? Because this isn't something that I can assign to them like this, but where it says for them to describe, then we can pop up the note and they can write in, they can just call that lesson 1, L14, and they can write their response there. And they can do L15 for the, well, they'll get a note every time, a different note each time. All right, so again, that is one resource that I would, you know, challenge you guys to think about in terms of where to start if I'm dealing with level of proficiency for my student, and I need some support for that I might want to think about using that write-in reader across the board. All right. And then going into my readers. So right here with my, I do have support for the, also those content readers. They're gonna open like an ebook also, and I just select them by the title. That's gonna, this title is gonna be mentioned in my teacher's edition. That's gonna represent the theme that I'm working on. And so from here, I can, so this technology is just a little bit different. I can, as you saw, make it large or small, and I can go right into it and have it provide the audio for me. And so it's kind of telling you exactly where it is. Track 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And as you can see, rewind, play, pause. I kind of like that a little bit better because of it gives me a little bit more controls on the audio there.
I'm not sure we saw that on the screen.
All right. New share. Here we go. Because it opened in another window. I apologize. So for sure, you know, with the Zoom, I have to make sure that I stop and switch when it does open in a new window. And so let me just kind of slide it down. So remember, it came from right here, from the tab, from the content readers. And the actual book opens in a new window for me. And you can just type in the page number there, or just using my arrows and taking me into the page numbers. And again, each little audio is labeled on the page, and I can play it track by track. It doesn't, in other words, it's not reading it continuously, but I like that it's numbered for me. All right, just trying to introduce you to all of the resources that you do have online. Going back into it now. Let me switch, so we're back into it. And now that we're back into the gateway, I close that tab. And this is where you're gonna have to tell me if yours are coming up. So this is also where those level readers are. So when you go here, are you getting anything from your gateway? So I was on the resources tab inside of my gateway, and I was under readers, and I clicked on the level readers. So did they open for you all in a new tab?
I know we did subscribe to those for the print material. I mean, they have the level readers, but is that different?
Yes, you're not, it's not actually opening for you. The actual book is not coming up for you. Are you getting the same screen as me?
I'm not logged in because I don't have an account, so.
Okay. Is anyone able to see the level readers? And the reason why I ask is because I have a trainer's account, so I know that I don't have access. I didn't know if you had them here or not. And that just may be a difference in that I'll find out with this addition, and whether or not we can actually access them online. So I will check into that for you. I can give you guys a workaround and tell you how you can get them with a sample account, because they are online for you to get to. But it'll kind of be a couple of steps, but I will find that out for you all on where those are. All right, so let's keep working through then our resources. So let's go to the last tab with the school to home. So right here in my first unit, this is now where I can go in and find the grab and go into those school home connection letters that are going to download for me. I have these downloaded. Let me just switch my screens. All right. And so when I showed you the button, on the dashboard that had the at-home support, and I said that everything was as a PDF. So I'll show you all of the PDFs right now. So the actual grab and go resource book will open for you guys, just like it'll open for you just like this here, and it gives you the whole 39-page resource so that you can get to all of it as the teacher. Then you also have I lost the letter. Then we also would have the letter the at-home letter that would be inside of this one. I thought I had it up for you guys. And I don't want to keep turning through all the pages here because this comes up as the actual PDF. But inside of my dashboard, I'm going to go back to it. Here is just the Unit 1, Lesson 1 letter that comes up inside of the ebook. So now I can just share that with my families, and this is something that I can post right inside of my Google Classroom so that they see then what what we're going to be working on for this particular lesson. And so the whole thing comes up as an ebook for me. And then I can just post it. So I can just share it from here so that they see for this week, this is what we will be working on. And I can just share it from here. All right, and that again may be a resource that you all are familiar with out of your grab and go. So I'm gonna go back to those resources now. I apologize for that. So the actual family letter comes up as an ebook, all right? And you can share it directly from there. But then the other resources will come up for you as PDFs. and you have that PDF button that's right there on your dashboard for you. So that way you can, get to them very easily. And this resource here that I'm sharing with you is the actual grab and go resource book. All right, that's one. You also have inside of your gateway, you can download the scope and sequence for your grade level. And I'm going to come back to that when we talk about planning in a moment. But then the dashboard resources that you have are the unit. So this is all of unit 1. So when I do download that from the student edition, it just lets me download it as the whole unit. All right. So, you want to think about how you would use this, because I would have to scroll through to kind of find those pages, right? So it downloads unit by unit. Also, you can get from that PDF right on your dashboard, you can download the reader's notebook. And again, this downloads as a PDF, and it's going to be the whole thing. So it's going to be the whole book, and then I would just kind of have to scroll through it also to get to these PDF pages of the reader's notebook. And with the write-in reader, it will download for me also by the unit of the PDF pages. And the difference, as you can see here, is I may take one of the stories from here, and it's going to provide me with that opportunity to cite text evidence very closely with the call outs, the text chunking, and the opportunities for the students to interact right inside of it. And that would be what we would call, them being the reading detective. So this may be a place that you want to start to scaffold for your students as well inside of and using this write-in reader. It was normally our intervention piece, right? And then also starting at grade 3, unit 6, which is going to be those adventure magazines. And so it's all of those last 5 lessons for unit 6. So these are some samples of the things that are in the at-home support PDF button: the Adventures magazine, the write-in reader, the whole thing, the reader's notebook, the whole thing, and then the student edition by the unit, then my grab and go booklet so that I can see that as the teacher. Let me stop there with some of those resources and questions, comments, observations about those resources.
So if we assign a page out of the RN book, out of the reader's notebook, we have to send the whole entire.
No, I wouldn't want you to do that. So, we made it easier for you to be able to get to those PDFs back in the spring, because people were using PDFs in all sorts of ways. And if you just still need access to those copies, then, they're still there on the dashboard for you. But no, I would not recommend that in that way. I'm leading right into assigning and creating classes and things like that. So I would say no, because that's a lot. And that is one reason why I shared that with you, so that you can see how large of a file it is and be able to make that decision. Because that definitely wouldn't be the best path. That's quite a lot. All right, so back on the dashboard, and we are in the gateway. In the gateway here, where we see all of the resources. I'm gonna leave this gateway tab open, and I wanna go to my dashboard tab and open it. and we want to take a look at, we have all these other resources where we can get to the online test, where we can get to any of these things here. The big thing about going through these widgets here, guys, is that it opens, it's the whole program, and I have to narrow it down, right? I would say, how do you want to really navigate? When you are instructing, I'm either going to go through my student ebook, the yellow, and start my sessions there by just writing the book with students in their books. I'm in my book. Or I'm going to go to the gateway, and then I'm going to go to my actual lesson, and I'm going to go right into then my focus wall. I would go right into the focus wall, right? And I can launch from the focus wall. The focus wall kind of would be almost the same as the ebook. It's just that it's in sections, right? Because of it's broken up by the focus wall. A third way, which is the better way than the gateway, would be browse, and that's where I can find everything quickly. So if I go to the top right, where I can see the blue button, I'm going to find my grade level for Journeys, and I've been demonstrating out of 3rd grade. Are you guys seeing my screen? And
Yes.
then we can get to program structure, and we just unlock it. And I want to unlock it by the unit. So we're in unit 1 on lesson 1, right? Unit 1 on lesson 1. And now you see everything opens up here for me. So when we think about things that we can assign, and we think about the test. What day do we typically take a test? Like on a Friday, which would be in Journeys, our day 5. So if I go to day 5, I know that I'm going to get my online assessment for the weekly test, right? That I normally would find that PDF in my grab and go, but I can assign this to my class online. So day 5 is where I'm going to have that weekly test, right? For all of the selections that I have read. I click on the link because the title of it, because it's hot linked, and it opened for me in a new tab. So now I want to just take a look at the test. So I'm going to expand it all, and I want to see it. And you're familiar with this, right? Because it's in those different categories, those 5 sections: vocabulary, comprehension, phonics, so on. The thing is, it's a long test, right? Maybe you guys used to cut and paste, or maybe you did give the whole thing. Most of my Journeys teachers think that this is too much for a week. So we do several things. Some people do maybe that they'll pick certain categories. That'll be what primary teachers do. The other sections will be what intermediate teachers do. Or most teachers just break this down. Vocabulary is 1 grade, the next section is another grade, and so on. And they get 5 grades out of this and break it down instead of giving it to their students all at one time, right? So you may do that in this way.
Are these editable?
Yes, yes, they are. And I'm going to show you that in a moment on how you do that. From here, from this view, when I went into browse and I grabbed it, because that's what I would recommend you doing to create the assignment, is going into browse, is just allows me to see it. So if you wanted to just really take a look at what the questions and answers are, you can see it from here. All right. So let me close that. And now I'm moving into the phase of teaching you about creating assignments, and then we'll go into classes. So I'm still here on this list. And now I want to create this as an assignment. So I would just simply click the word assign. So now it pulls it up for me, and I'm ready to create an assignment. So right here, what I might do is I might call this, I just may call this week 1 comprehension, because I'm just going to give this 5 times. All right, I'm going to make it 5 times. I have to have something here, and I have to have something where it says instructions. The word do is already going to be there. I can put do your best, whatever you want to say. I would select my class, and then I'm going to give it to all of my students. And then here, it always defaults to a week, 7 days. I may say that we're going to complete comprehension on the 2nd, and we're going to do one of these every day. So right here where it says select questions is now how I can edit that, because I don't want to give this to everybody. So what I'm going to do is just, I'm going to uncheck everything except comprehension, and that's going to create that one assignment. And I'm going to save it for my students. And then from there, I would do this then 5 times, because then I would make one now that said that is phonics, another for grammar, so on and so forth. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And if I do have more than one group, or like this particular assignment, which is a big long test with 5 different sections, I could go in and I could just simply copy it. And now I can recreate it again. And I can recreate this for my other class. So since I did modify this, I'm glad I did this. Since I did modify this, I'm going to give this comprehension to my afternoon class, right? If I wanted to start over, and if I wanted to actually then make now the grammar, then I would have to go in and I'd have to grab it and start over for grammar. All right. But this is where all of my assignments now are listed for me right here. But I'm going to close this tab, and I want to go back home for a minute and go home. Because here, remember we looked at the big dashboard and it was color coded. My assignments get pushed up here when I create the assignment. I can then look at my assignments by clicking on the funnel of everything I created, 2, 4, 6 weeks at a time. And then I can start to see the reports that are going to be generated over here for my class as well. All right, I'll come back and talk about reports a little bit more. Let me go back into browse where I was. And we were looking at the selection. I'm sorry, we were in lesson 1, day 5. All right. And so all I do is then I'm just simply looking for things that I can assign for my class. I'm looking for the word assign. All right. If I want to know what that actual assignment looks like, then I can click on the title and it takes me to it. Now, this would be the same as, right, the work that they're going to see in their readers. This is their readers' work from their reader's notebook, right? And so that's just what I would just simply tell them to complete those pages. And it isn't going to score and grade it for them. In Journeys, the big things that the dashboard will score and grade, those things that are true electronic features are going to be the writing project with the My Write Smart and the online assessments. Now this takes them to the page in the book, but I would assign this through My Write Smart. All right, and we should see that. We're gonna look for that in My Write Smart. Is that at the lesson level? The other things, so from here, we now have gone up to the lesson level, and looking at all the actual resources here, your students can go in and they can take a look at those language support cards. So all of the resources, and same with you, that you would have in print, that your students are able to access online. that they could use for support and that you can use online to teach from, whether you're in front of them face to face or even in a synchronous session. You also, in your instructional card kit, you're going to get all of those vocabulary cards and retelling cards. They're all in here as well. So your students can get those as, your students can get those, can be assigned those to actually work through for extra practice on their own, or also something that you would assign to them specifically to complete for extra practice. You also have the Grammar Snap video for every lesson that you can assign to your class, or you can use it whole group to introduce the lessons. All right, so I like this view, guys, because I can just unlock it and I can kind of read through. These are a lot of the resources that you've seen mentioned, I'm sure, in your teacher's edition, and I can just quickly grab them so that way I can use them for my online class, or that I can create an assignment for my students, because when I am here, I'm looking for then the assign button for my students, right? And that gives me an idea on things that I can quickly just create an assignment for, which means I'm giving them the actual due date, right? These were the cards here, the vocabulary and context cards. So it's gonna take them into the actual cards that are there. You get these that you can use too online with your students. If you're gonna do this with your class, you know, you always have that prompt that's on the back that you can work through that with. All right, let me pause there before I go into creating more assignments and creating the class and just some other back-end type things, and get questions, comments, observations, some things that you're glad you saw, you know, as you're thinking of a different way to utilize some of the things that you do in person every day. Just a couple of thoughts around that.
So clarification of what I saw. I saw a little video on grammar there on what is a sentence. So we have videos available to us within this system for that.
Yes.
That is very cool. Helpful. And it was through the dashboard in the resources. Okay.
Yes. So this view that we're looking at now, I went in through browse. And so my dashboard, that's why my dashboard looks the way it does now, because I went in through browse and I opened up program structure, and I just kind of started just unfolding, if you will, lesson by lesson, day by day.
Okay. Browse. Gotcha. So much to this. Wow. I'm glad Holly's recording this.
You also want to just play around while you are in your ebook. Look, you know, just kind of letting your cursor go across different things, because if you see that it's a live link inside of there, then go ahead and launch it there right at point of use.
Thank you.
And for sure, guys, I know that it is about you kind of playing around with it to get your own feel for it. But as you do that, two things to think about: my navigation, yellow, ebook, blue, browse, and then also my gateway, right, which is going to be the red icon. Those are your three big buckets. With the gateway, you probably want to start with that focus wall also, because things are linked there. But also know that I can get in those resources also, scroll through the list, customizable focus wall that I can open up as a PowerPoint. If you download it one time, you have the template there and you can use it all the time. Same with also the interactive whiteboard lessons that is on the interactive focus wall. It's that little icon that looks like the pin to your Promethean board, right? That's gonna be at that top left. Download the software, then you just download those lessons to have those ready, because you'll get one for every lesson, for grammar and for grammar and vocabulary for every lesson, an interactive whiteboard lesson. So that's a PowerPoint that's kind of already ready to go for you. And then what you're thinking: synchronous, things we do together; asynchronous, while we're in group breaking out; and then what students do independently.
Also, back to the assessments, Diane had asked, are they editable or something like that? And aren't they, like, if we're looking at the comprehension questions, and instead of giving all of those comprehension questions, and we just want to narrow it down to some specifics, we can like take out those questions, correct?
When you're in Assign, and when I'm here to select the questions, that's how I can then remove or add some of them at any level.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The other part is, so let's just say I needed just another layer of something to work with. There is the exam view, which is its own test bank, that I can download that software and I can use that as well. But again, I want to download it because now I have to have the software on my machine, and then I can create multiple choice, true, false. I can do 3 answer choices or 2 answer choices. I can make more white space in between, or I can provide that just this extra practice. Many Journeys teachers would use those for tutorials, where they did Saturday tutorials or after school tutorials, things like that. Or yes, if my students just did not do so well on the lesson 1 weekly test and I needed another version, I can use Exam View, because it's its own test bank that is aligned to everything in Journeys by the lesson, ready to go for you. You just manipulate the format of it. You can administer those online, but that would be outside of the ThinkCentral dashboard. And a lot of times in the past that has been used a lot just for teachers using it, for, like I said, in paper copy. But you can do it online. You would just have to have that software on your device and put your students into it, so that way they can actually complete that online as well. All right, I'm closing these tabs because I want to get back to my dashboard here. And when my dashboard looks like this, I'm just going to simply click the word home that I see at the top in blue, so that I can now go back into home and talk about some other things here. So one thing we talked about, let's go into manage classes, guys, if you will. For those of you that are logged in, I want you to tell me what you see here. If you see a list of classes here, then that means your rostering is done for you by the master schedule for this school year. So tell us, anybody. Anybody seeing their students listed there already?
I accidentally got back out of it, but I was in there earlier and I did not see that.
You didn't see it? Okay. So then from,
I don't know if it's operator error.
okay. So the thing is, this is my
Mine
dashboard.
doesn't,
Go ahead.
like, where you have kids listed or something down here. Mine just says Lang 2. It says my name.
Okay. All right. So now this is my dashboard, and all of these, this yellow band, these are all tabs, right? So what you would do is from here, we are going to add a class. So we would go into add class, and you just would simply create yours. I'm just gonna say Kelly 2020, and it's gonna be 3rd grade. And I am looking for 3rd grade journeys, which means that your students are loaded, and then you guys just have to narrow down and create your classes. So, and I want English. All right. So I'm going to apply the filters. Just check. Those are all the resources. So notice right here, this tells you what students are going to have access to. They're going to be able to get into those Grammar Snap videos, the My Right Smart, all of this that they can get into, right? So I'm going to say apply and now save, and then assign students. When you guys get to assign students, then what you're looking for is now to filter by grade level and hit find, and all of the students in your district by grade level should pop up here. I'm sorry, just scratch that, by school, because you guys should be attached to a school and your students attached to a school, and then you just simply want to start to add your students in class to create your class. Is that what you guys are seeing then?
Our tech department should have loaded the kids in, and I will just tell those of you that are on, or even when people are watching the recording, if you're not seeing the students that are in your school at your grade level showing up, you just need to contact Trent at the tech department and he'll take care of it. But they should be in there because we do that at the beginning of the year. So.
All right. So all you guys are doing is creating the class with your name on it, and then you're going to filter by grade level, and you're just going to drag your students over, because you should be, each teacher is associated to a school, and those kids are associated to that school. So it's not everybody, right? It's just by your school. So you're just going to create your class, and then I'm going to hit save, and then I can go up here. It'll take me back to where I can see the listing of the students. From there, then you would have your class in. If I just simply click on there, I can do view roster. I caution you about this because there used to be a time when I taught, when you first purchased Journeys 2014, we didn't even have this. But I don't want you to get click happy and then hit reset, because the kiddos have been rostered according to a unique username and password. And so right now, you already know it. It's probably the same as it might be what? First name, last name, student ID, or it's the same as how they log into the Chromebooks.
I believe it's their, and I'm not for sure, but I think it's their birthday password on PowerSchool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the same.
Right. So we never really need to see this. So you already know. I just don't want you ever to click out of this, because now you're going to have to go tell somebody you did it, and because you reset the passwords for the kiddos there. And it's just for the protection of in the world we live in now with PIN numbers and passwords. And that's why that is. So so all you just need to know is once you have your class set up, then now you can go into creating those assignments. And so then from here, guys, you just can simply go into any of these tabs, and I can go in and see the list of my assignments, but I'm going to tell you, browse is your friend. I would just, if I want to go grab that resource so I can put a due date on it, I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to go through browse. All right. And I don't ever get to that part where I was until I've already made that assignment, like you saw. And if I just click the word assignments, it'll always take me back to now assignments or reports to this view. I'm still on the dashboard. It just kind of starts to look differently. All right.
A lot of
Yolanda?
students on here are on here twice. There's two of a lot of the students, same name.
You can have Trent look and see, like there's maybe just some duplicates in there. I'm not sure.
I'm seeing lots of duplicates.
Okay. I'll have him
So-
go in and
Yolanda or Diane or somebody help me out here. So
Mhm.
I am trying to do the filter thing where it says program and you are to select the journeys.
Mm-hmm.
Which journeys? Because I don't see one that says Kansas. I see AL
14.
journeys, excursions,
NA journeys.
NA.
Mhm.
Okay, what's the NA stand for?
National.
Oh, national.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Oh, there they are.
Good. Good, good, good. So the other thing I just want to just share right here, because of these tabs, you know, as you can see that you're able to then, you know, work with the different settings and things like that underneath here. One of the big things would be with reports. So if we click on that reports tab that I want to share with you from here, is that I have several types of reports. I would recommend you guys using that quick reports. So let's go into my help button, and I'm going to share a bunch of things here so we can take a look at some reports. So help is just listed right in the blue band next to the word home, and it opens for me in a new tab. And so from here, I just want to share some of those reports with you. All right. So then a quick report would be the type that I would recommend you utilizing. When I'm in help, guys, I can get lots of things here. Bulleted lists. I can get a PDF of how to do certain things like create assignments, or even see some quick videos on that. But just let's take a look at it. One of my quick reports just kind of gives you at a glance your class at a glance and performance over time with those color codings there for you. All right. You can also get standard reports and comprehensive reports. The reports can be downloaded as a PDF or as an Excel file. But that is utilizing the dashboard. So creating your assignments inside of ThinkCentral. All right. And as you can see, we have a list of all the different types of reports that we can do, and then the settings for those different reports. While we are here on the help, I want to go back home on the help window, and I want to share a couple of things. So right here with this back to school, I can go into this back to school site. And then I can also search by program and by ThinkCentral, and I can get more support there. All right, that's one thing. I can also go to at-home learning, and I'm going to show you these in a moment. I don't want to click them because I already know that they're not going to open for me the way I need them to in Chrome. I'd have to go into Firefox, long story short. And so those are two avenues for support. But then also, guys, there is a letter that we can get if we go into our search and we just do take home letter, and we can get a PDF copy of a take home letter that shares with, of course it's not coming up for me today. I'm gonna send you the PDF of it. It gives you a PDF copy of a letter where we can send home with our families with the past usernames and passwords and screenshots so that kiddos know how to log into ThinkCentral. So I'll push that out to Holly, and she can share that at home. Hopefully you're getting it in your view. It just must be something with my cookies or whatever that it's not liking it when I type it in right now. And I guess it's tired of me. I've been working on it all summer long, and it didn't pull up the search like I needed it to, but it is there. Another thing with our journeys is when you're wondering if something's kind of weird, log out and log back in. If you think that you're having some issues, you can go to service availability and you're just looking for a green light to see if ThinkCentral is operating normally. If it's, you want to rule out things like, am I the only one having that problem? Is my partner teacher having it also? Is everybody on our campus, do we all seem to be having this problem with ThinkCentral and Journeys today? That's when we want to definitely go into getting some help and calling in to get a ticket on it. All right. But definitely, if you see that you do have that, then know that there may be an issue with the platform if there's a yellow or a red light there, and that'll show you when you are logging in. You can also see when we have new features that are being added on the dashboard. We're updating it all the time. All right. And then let me log out. And then we get a message right here at the top of the screen that also gives you some information about updates when you do log in. All right. As I close out and take you to some other things, so what other questions can I talk to you about and answer for you?
Yolanda, so I found all my students. I got them all in. There are doubles of everything, so I just picked the first one and I hope it's good. There's a button that says export classes. Do I click that?
Oh, so that's if you wanted to get a printout of the roster. So honestly, once you just set it up and you drag all your kiddos in to create the class, then you're kind of good to go. You just really want to save, because
Okay.
now that just means that when you go and you grab that online assignment, that it's going to be a list of your students there, and you're going to either add all or you're going to drag them over one by one to give that assignment to your students.
Okay.
And so, and you're welcome. And so that's what creating the assignment is just simply putting the due date on there for you. All right. Just putting a due date on there.
Okay.
Let me run back through some of this for you as we wind down here. I'm going to go back into my PowerPoint as we kind of review.
Is there a way to go through and print off a roster of the kids with their passwords and logins?
So yes, there is. When you see, no, because the roster is going to come up just like I showed you, and it's just going to have usernames. But like Holly told us, that it is the same as, what did you say? I forgot the platform that she said it's the same.
And I just emailed Trent, but it's either the Power School birthday password, or it's their Power School ID. And then there's a few kids that have a 4-digit passcode. And if it is that one, there's a 1 in front of it. So I'll email everybody out tomorrow what that is. And then I also ask him about the duplicates too.
And there's no way, Holly, to edit that or anything. It's just very difficult for our little ones, kindergarten, first grade, second grade. It's very hard, that long thing.
Only took us an hour the other day, Shelley. It was.
Oh, my Lanta. That's terrible. I guess the answer is no.
What I will do is I will ask around. I'm going to put that in my notes and see if I can find from some other districts, because, there were tricks and things that we could do in the classroom, but to see what that might look like at home. So I'll find out with some tricks of the trade that I can share with you guys for helping kiddos at the primary grades get used to the login. But again, the one big thing is when they're on their own device, and they do it the first time, the drop downs, because everybody has to go through it, country, state, district, all of that, and click save, remember me, and then they're going to put in their username and password, and then in Chrome, you can have it save it also so that they won't have to do it all the time.
Well, that's a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's just knowing that, you know, maybe you get some support, get some extra hands on deck to help you guys that first time everybody does it. And then from there, and making sure everything's checked. And then from there, then you guys will get the hang of it.
And Yolanda, there's no way for them to manually change the passwords that were originally set by the district if they wanted to. They can't do that.
So I would say maybe, and we may look, you know, your IT would look into the rostering. I would just say maybe that's a different type of rostering that you would do. Just have two different groups. Like if you're going to have those K-2 students rostered with a different password that's going to be something short and sweet, then that's what you would do.
But they can't do it. They
Yes,
can't change it.
The teachers can, but here's what you see. I feel like, you know, with the one thing out of the pandemic is we're all at a point now where we are going to use the technology in some way, shape, or form, right? Versus the way we just probably never touched it in the past. And so what you would want to be able to do is to have it rostered uniform data, so that way we promote at the end of the year and not have to go through this all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why we don't want every teacher doing their own.
And they don't, but I guess my question is Trent sends them up and everybody has either their Power School ID or it's their Power School birthday ID, whatever it is. But say the kindergarten teacher, she wouldn't be able to go in and change just the password for her 15 kids, so it would be simpler. She can't do that.
Right. No. So I would say we would want to look into see if we can have two different types of rostering then. So from here, I just wanted to share some documents. We do have a concise instructional plan, guys, that I'll share also with you to help you kind of make some decisions about, you know, what is it that I really can do with the amount of time that I have? Because we talked about how, you know, things are stretched out more online when we're working online than we do in person. And so this is by grade level, and it breaks it down by each day and the minutes and just the things that you would want to focus on. So I will definitely share that with you. One of the resources that I was sharing with you in that's a PDF that comes up in your gateway would be that scope and sequence that you can download as a PDF. That's where you see your writing scope and sequence, and you see all of these skills and things listed there that you'd want to use. So that way you start to look at what that pacing will look like and the considerations that you'll have for COVID. I'm going to share all of this information with you guys to kind of help compact that curriculum because of kind of where we are. We know that we definitely want to continue to do that back to school for grade 1 and welcome to kindergarten, those units that we definitely want to make sure that we're utilizing those. So I'll give you all of this in some notes. And those are just some of the resources that I did want to share with you. And also I do have several things that I will provide you with through my my drive of all of those with those lesson plans for journeys that you guys can get to. I'll share that with Holly and she can push that out. We talked about how to share through Google Classroom. And I just wanted to make you aware of the Level Reader app that we do have. This is for a purchase. It's in the App Store on the iOS and the Android. So parents can look for that as well and have easy access to those Level Readers right in the App Store. If you wanted to get it, to have it on your device to make it easier to get to and share in a session, you can have that as well. We talked about the help button and what are some aha moments and some key takeaways then for today's session then, ladies and gentlemen?
For me, it's just the magnitude of what is available to be able to try to satisfy all the needs of being in class or being remote or distance learners.
Do you feel supported? Are you more comfortable now, seeing that you do have some things available online?
Yes, comfortable, not yet.
Comfortable that they're there.
They're there, and it's really good to see them and know that they're there, and how to remember how to get to them.
Absolutely. So again, yellow student ebook
Yeah.
and the
Yellow,
blue
blue.
browse.
And the red bucket.
That's right. That's right.
I knew there was a lot there, but there is probably 10 times more there than I knew.
Okay. Okay. Good.
And
Good.
I see it as a resource that we already have. You guys have been using it for a long time. But if and when you need to, if we go remote, or you have a couple kids that are out on quarantine, or, you know, even if the option of using it for distance, if you wanted to, you have it at your fingertips, and just, you know, just figuring out how to use it. So then it kind of goes along right with what you're doing in your classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is amazing, because as long as we have had Journeys, every year I discover a new nugget, and I'm like, whoa, that was there all the way? Are you kidding me? And every year I find a new nugget, and this is the biggest gold mine nugget I've found yet.
I love it. I love it. You are absolutely right. Journeys is a very complete and comprehensive English language arts program, and it's a mountain of resources. And now we see they are all there right inside of that ThinkCentral dashboard for you guys. So take your time with it. You can only eat the elephant in one bite at a time, right? So it is there, but just, you know, continue to collaborate with each other and think in terms of things that we're doing together in groups and things that students will do independently. So we are here to continue to support you at HMH, and just a phone call, text, or an email away. So don't hesitate to reach out, grab my contact information there. And if you have a moment, please let us know how we can continue to support you. Use your device to use the QR code there, or either type right into a new tab, eval.hmhco.com. And I do thank you for joining me this afternoon to kind of get you a little bit further along the way. Just take your time with it. The biggest thing is, you know the program already, guys. You know the program.
Thank you very much, Yolanda.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciated your interaction today and all of your participation.
Yolanda, I'm going to turn the recording off, and then I have a question for you real quick.
All right, not a problem.